So
Yes,
let's
very
talk
good.
about real world management now. What happens when you go for the number one position? What can go wrong when you go do some of these things we talked about? Now, before we go talk about what can go wrong, anything that can go right, Chris? Are you running any campaigns right now for any moving companies or water filtration, whole house companies, or anything like that, where you're showing up number one all the time, and that's the strategy?
Oh man, no, I can say no, absolutely not. I
Wow,
mean, other than like a brand campaign, no, absolutely not.
wow.
What about you?
I'm thinking through here. On everything established, I would say no, but I want to, if you will. Like, no, but I know really good things happen when we show up number one. It's just a matter of cost, and the cost per conversion that we're going for holds us back
Yeah,
a little bit. So
yeah.
that's usually what happens. But the one caveat to all this, the one ebb and flow to all this, the
Okay.
one yin and yang to all
Yin and
this,
yang. Okay.
and it doesn't make sense in this case. I just want to keep saying it. But the one caveat to all this is that I am working on some new campaigns that are showing a really, really good cost per conversion. That's a lot lower than our goal cost per conversion on really smart keywords that you would think would be getting good conversions. And I'm pushing it very hard right now. And I hope we show up number one all the time. It's just probably at some point it'll cost too much to do that because it's an auction and there's other people
Yep.
out there, and we'll have to pull back a little bit to keep the cost per lead we want. Um, I don't think so, Chris. I don't think. I mean, once you know the cost per lead and that's your goal
Yeah.
you're going for, you
Yep.
have a goal. It's kind of hard to justify being number one all the
It's
time because it conflicts with the goal.
would you would you say true or false?
Yin or yang.
It is juvenile to have a goal of showing up first position all the time. It is.
Um, Depends how much the client's paying me,
I
and
said
if
true or
it's the word it's
false.
going to get back to the client. Juvenile, yeah, but sometimes juvenile is part of the best part of business. Just being a dreamer, being a psychopath. Just forcing your will
Okay.
on the world.
All right. If you if
Sometimes,
uh, I say absolutely it's a bad idea to show up. I don't
wow,
think there's a single time when it is always when you should have 100% impression share, 100% absolute top, showing up every single search for, a group of keywords. Maybe one single keyword, but a group of keywords, an entire campaign, absolutely not. No way.
yeah, I mean it is the situations I've been in where I've been forced to show number one, and that's been the goal. It's been an ego vanity thing for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
There's not a lot of thought that goes into, well, what's that going to cost me, and what's the profit going to be on that. Now, I will say, Chris, sometimes people do have business instincts, and they understand there's a benefit and an authority to being in that number one position, and they want to go for it.
Okay.
But money is a finite resource, and eventually
Yeah.
reality sets in.
I would say, I bet you would say another true or false question. Jason, have you ever told someone this phrase and meant it? What we need to do right now is get 100% impression share and 100% absolute top on these keywords. Have you ever said anyone and like that's actually your strategy of what you wanted to do?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
that explicit. Not that black and white. Not that like, oh, we're not going to
Yeah.
think about anything else or
The
consider anything else.
the so that what we're talking about, the final point here is real world. What does management look like? Management for number one position. And we talked and hinted about the failures and how this can compound on itself and just lead to more and more wasted money. And the fact is, very rarely, actually, no, I'm not going to fall back at all. I'm going to go strong worded on this. It is absolutely ineffective for you to go 100% impression share, 100% absolute top on a set of keywords, maybe at best one keyword, one very specific phrase or very finite topic, but everything else, absolutely not. Real world management does not look like that because the real world is much sloppier than that. Keyword matching is not going to be always quite as straightforward and lean as you would hope. Just because you say, I want to show up for this keyword, you might get some variations in that. You might get some things you don't want. And showing up all the time for that is not going to be ideal. So real world management, number one, choosing the keyword. You can get it wrong. And let's go a little bit into number one, where you can get it wrong on the first part. I'll say you choose the right, you choose the wrong keyword. How you know that you've done it wrong is you look at your search terms and you realize, oh, I'm showing up for a lot of competitors. I'm showing up for a lot of unrelated searches. Whole house filtration, I have that as my keyword, and I realize, I realize, oh, I'm getting searches around repair or parts or things like that. People looking for replacement parts or things like that. So you realize that there are certain aspects of that keyword that you need to modify. So that's the first thing, real world management of what it looks like, realizing that you've got something wrong in part one.
I think also, Chris, you can make a mistake with match types. If you do have a keyword like the beautiful keyword movers near me, and that's exact match, and you go with the number one on that, number one strategy, it's possible, but you have movers near me broad match, it might not be possible to show up number one all the time because there's so many different searches you're showing up on, and who's got the budget for that. So you want to make sure you think through your match types if you pursue a number one strategy. And then I think another mistake, I wrote this down, Chris, where people are coming to Google Ads wanting to be number one is, we talked about it. In reality, that's kind of a tough strategy to do once you know your cost per lead, being there all the time. And there's a big difference, by the way, between absolute top percentage 100% and then absolute top percentage 80%. There's like a huge difference there, or even 90%.
Yeah. Yes.
But coming at that strategy or to Google Ads in general with too many keywords, that's like one of the biggest problems I see with new advertisers in general.
Yeah.
Talk about your water filtration whole house system. Some people may think, well, if someone in this area, we know they have water problems in this area, so we want to catch people when they search for anything about water or drinking water because we know there's problems in this area. It's a hot market for us. Or if they go, well, it's a hot market for us, anytime they search about water filters, just drinking filters. And what you and I both know is that those strategies, even though they're valid when you're considering overall marketing plans and business plans and all that kind of stuff and what markets to go after, with Google Ads, you have the option of being so precise that if you don't do that and you try to do this wide strategy because it makes sense in like an offline billboard campaign or something, you may still get okay results, but you're missing out on such amazing results that if you have a limited budget, why not use it to get the amazing results and then grow from there? So biggest mistake I see is trying to go too big too quickly and not narrowing in on a strategy with your limited budget to get the best results possible and then using those profits to grow from there. So I want to throw that out there. I know that's something you probably see as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the best decision you can make is zero in on a goal of the kind of traffic you want to accomplish, and then you'll realize there's other things as well. So, I mean, a Google Ads campaign naturally will grow over time. Don't start with a really wide target and then watch it grow even further.